In this video, I'm going to show you how to recreate this data visualization using Flourish Studio that shows the Latin American trading partners. So this is actually a really neat tool, and this is a pretty basic example that you could then use to create other visualizations about a lot of different things. So let's get right to it. First thing you're probably going to need to do is to create a Flourish Studio account, and how you do that is go to Google and then search for Flourish, Flourish Studio, and then you should get a thing that looks like this. Click the top one, and it's going to give you some options here. You want to sign up, and you want to sign up using your school account. So when you click sign up, do sign up with Google and use your school account, and then when you do that, it's going to let you then log in. Let's go sign out here. So then you can log in. You're going to log in with Google if it doesn't automatically log you in. And you're going to get basically a screen that doesn't look like this. You don't have any visualizations you've made, so yours will be blank, but you want to click on where it says New Visualization. So we'll click on this, and there's a lot of really neat templates you can do a lot of really neat things with. But the one we want is down here. We're going to scroll all the way down to where it says Connections Globe. And there's a couple options. Doesn't really matter which one we choose, so we'll just choose default. And when we open this up, this is going to actually open up a visualization that is already done for us to show us an example of how it works. This is Trading Partners of China, and this shows basically who China trades with over time. It's got some different cool options. We're not going to really use these, but they are available. So we need to change this right here to look like this right here. So this is how we do that task. First, we need to inspect and see what we've got. This right here is on what's called the preview pane, where it says preview up here is blue. So we're looking at the preview of what our data looks like. Right here is where the data is. The data is what makes this visualization look like this. So we're going to need to change all this data to make the visualization look like we want. We don't need any of this data. So the first thing we're going to do is clear it. So over here, when we click on it, we've got actually two tabs, values and locations. We're going to clear both. So on values, I'm going to click this little arrow and then click clear sheet. Locations, I'm going to click the arrow and click clear sheet. And now we need to add our data to this. Now I've provided this data. It's in a file called Flourish Studio Latin American Data. And when you open that sheet up, it looks like this. And this sheet has two tabs at the bottom. One says data, one says locations. So we're going to go ahead and get from the data tab all of the data. And this is actual real data, real export data, the most current for Latin American countries to different Latin American countries or to the United States. So once I've copied all the data, I'll go back to my visualization and make sure that I'm on values and click on A. And I'm just going to go Control V, and I'm going to paste that information. Now let's get our locations. That will be over here where it says locations. And all of it, including the titles. Control C. Go back to my visualization, click on A, and click Control V. So we notice down here at this bottom right, this is a little preview. Nothing happened to it. If I click on the preview to look at my globe, I don't have much there. So that's not good. We want it to actually show what we want it to show. So we've got to fix a few things to make that work. Here's what we need to fix. If we go back to data, we'll notice we're on the values part, right? So we're on locations. So that's fine. So we're going to start with locations. So we notice we've got 2-letter code, 3-letter name, latitude, longitude. All these matter. This one here is gray. That means that it's not being used. But these are colored. That means that they're being used, and these colors correspond with these colors. So we've got the location code, location name. Location code is here. Location name is here. Latitude is in D. Longitude is in E. These are actually all correct. So what I care about really is the 3-letter code that's being used. The name is important, and the latitude and longitude tells the location. So now let's click on values. So these are all colored. In fact, these blank ones are colored. If I look over here, it says source location. That's where the export is coming from. This is looking at C. here. That's not correct. This value is like the amount of export, or the dollar value of the exports. The source location is actually A, so I need to change this to A. Good. Now the destination location should be B, so I need to change this D here to B. There we go. And the value is going to be in C. So let's go to C. There we go. Now these two filters here, these right here are what made those arrows on that right down here, these little arrows and things. I'm not going to use any filters for this, so I'm just going to delete this A and delete this B. So that should get rid of those things. Good. And notice now my preview actually has got arrows and stuff. Doesn't have a whole lot of arrows, so I need to fix it, and I don't really like this map. So now we're going to style this map and make it look like this one, and we'll be all done. This is surprisingly simple to do. Okay, the first thing we need to do on our map is change this title here. We want the title to say Latin America Trade Export Partners. So we're going to go down here on this long menu. We're only going to use a few of these. We're going to go down to header. Header is where these comes from, or these come from. So I'm going to click on this, and this is going to say Latin America Trade. So Latin America Trade. And then I'm going to change where it says all of this stuff to Export Partners. Good. Now it says Latin America Trade, Export Partners. Okay, a couple other things. I don't like the look of this globe. This is fine, but I want mine to be different. So when I go up here to Design, this gives me the globe surface that I need to choose. And so I could choose various different ones. There's a brown one. Looks kind of cool. There's a blue and white, which is what we had, satellite, but I want the 7-color map. So there we go, got the 7-color map. Now my arrows, they're red normally, but if I hover over them, they turn yellow. That comes from these colors. So I want to change mine to green normally. Let's make it a kind of a light green. And then when I hover over it, let's make it kind of bluish, dark blue. There we go. Alrighty. And the opacity refers to like how see-through they are. I like them to be about half. That way I can kind of see pretty much what's through them. And now if I hover over them, they turn purple. And notice my little pop-ups. It says Mexico to the United States, and it shows a number. And that's fine, 421.00. That's like billions of dollars. And notice when I hover over the pop-up, the menu shows up. And if I hover over the menu, the pop-up highlights. So that's kind of neat as well. I can highlight those arrows, but I do want to adjust this menu. This only gives me 5. I want more than 5. So let's go down to Data and Arrows. When I go here, this shows the maximum number of arrows. I've got about 30 different places, so I'm going to change this to 30. And the arrow scale is how big the arrow is relative to the data. So all of these arrow sizes come from, in the data, it comes from this value. So Mexico to the United States, wherever that is, it's down here. That value is 421. That's why that arrow is so big. Places that have a much smaller amount of trade have much smaller arrows. So what I could do if I wanted to is change this and make these arrows even bigger relative to the size. And so maybe I want to. Let's go 1.5. Why not? So we've got the arrows sized. I want more things on this right here, this menu. So I'm going to go down here to where it says Top Results List. And the things that I want to change is here. Let's do 15. That'll show me 15 different ones. So now I've got all 15 of these, and so that is good. I do want to show the values. I do want to show the country headers. So far, so good. Now we can't export this right now. So let's do that, and then we're going to go back and make a few more changes. So to export this or to save it so we can look at it like on a web page or send a link to somebody, we go up here to Export and Publish. We do that. And then we click on Publish to Share and Embed. We have to allow anybody to see it because this is a free trial thing. And we're going to do Publish. And when we do that, we get this link here. I'm going to click on this link, and that opens this up. And it gives me this kind of like far out menu. This is kind of neat. I may want to keep it like this, but there's a couple of things that I really don't like about this that I want to fix. So let's go back to our visualization and let's change this background color, because this right here, I want it to be darker. I really like that. It looks kind of neat. And I like this close-up sort of view. So here's how we do that. If I go to, let's see, layout, layout has the background color. So right now it's this dark gray. I'm going to click it and move it all the way to the corner. That'll make it black. Good. Then I want to go to where it says rotation. Rotation is important because my initial zoom is 1,000, which means all the way zoomed out. So actually, let's go zoom it in. I'm going to go down to about like this. Good. And what's other important thing is it says auto rotate based on data. What this does is, well, let's look. Well, what this does is this moves the globe to show the number one thing, which I don't necessarily want it to show the number one thing because I'm looking at Latin America. I want it to show most of this. So how I do that is I unclick this, then I want to change these things. The default latitude, we're going to make that 0 right along the equator. And the default longitude, if it's 0, 0, that's right here, where latitude and longitude zeros connect. But I want it to be way over here in the west, at 70 west. On this sort of number system, western longitude is a negative number. So I just do minus 70, and that moves it like that. So now this is the view that I want. So now let's go ahead and click export. Now if I click this link again, I get the same thing that I had. And the reason why is what I need to click is republish. So let's click republish, and I'll click OK, publish it again. Now the link is green. Let's click it again, and there we go. I've got my visualization. And there's a couple things I can do. I can change the text size or the font or a lot of different things. If I go here, all these things on these menus matter, and you can do some really, really neat things with these. So if you wanted to play around with those, you can, but you've figured out how to make a pretty simple, pretty neat interconnected globe. You can use this for all sorts of things, and I recommend looking at the other data visualizations in Flourish as well, because for your classes, for projects, for stuff like that, there's all sorts of really cool stuff you can do. And this gives you the option of embedding this right onto your Canva, which we have here at Northwest, so you can do neat stuff with that as well. So good job.